The next video in the reality transurfing series is going to be a good one. This is going to be a very core video. It might end up being quite long. So reality transurfing, fifth video in the series about, balance, importance, and desire. So I have a lot of notes on this where I'm just like, I gotta include that. So we are going to go through the notes. If I just go and I talk about this one for a while, it's going to be hard to see which ones I've already covered. So for this one, I am going to check each note as we go through it. But to start, let's give a quick summary of the ideas, and then I'll read a passage from Reality Transurfing, and then we'll get into explaining it. The book is pretty wordy, so it might not make sense, and it might make more sense when I explain it. But just try, pause what you're doing and listen carefully to the passage, see if you can decipher it. So balance is the idea that there are balancing forces. If you desire, and that's another one of the concepts, if you desire something, desire comes from the lower self, that will create a balancing force. If you are afraid something will happen, you're I don't want this to happen, balancing force, that will bring that reality closer to you. If you want, you're like, I need this to happen, I need this to happen, that's going to create the balancing force that will not happen. So seems like you're afraid of things, they're not going to happen. You feel like you need things, they will happen. Craving and aversion, craving something and having aversion to something will bring it closer to you. These are negative thoughts. I need this, I am not good, and I need this to be good. And I can't have this. If this happens, I will not be good, is the opposite of this would be good, but I feel whole. Or maybe we shouldn't go there, but I feel whole. It's not a fear thing. So then we're going to be talking about intention, how to have intention with and without desire, because that's the key, is getting out of desire and into a more pure intention. So one thing I'll say before we read the passage, when I first heard this concept, I was like, that sounds passionless. That sounds kind of dead. This idea of getting rid of your desire, of having intention without desire, isn't that just like passionless intention? And no, the answer is, when you have intention without desire, you have intention coming from a place of unconditional love, of acceptance, of fearlessness. This is an extremely powerful, extremely passionate form of intention. This is an intention so much more powerful than the intention coming from your smaller ego self. So yeah, it's the most powerful creative force. It is the most alive form of intention, and it is condition needed to really create something. And this is the most powerful creative force of the universe. Intention existing from a place of unconditional love, or at least as close to that as we can manage in our limited selves, without attachment. So when you're acting from an intention that is not coming from an attachment for something you need for yourself, that is a much more powerful intention, a much more pure intention. This is simply not placing our happiness on the other side of this thing. That's all that is. Intention without desire is not feeling like you need things to go a certain way to be happy, and then feeling happy first, being fulfilled and complete, and then the intention you do have, so much more powerful. So let's get into the passage. I'll read a little bit, and then I will dissect it, and we'll go through it. There's like 3 paragraphs I want to cover. So, the saying, if you really want something, you will eventually get it, will have quite the opposite effect if the wanting is intensely driven and frantic attempts are made to acquire the object of your desire. So essentially that means if thinking that really wanting something will bring it to you, that could be a good thing. But if it's coming from a place of franticness, of like, I need to go, like today, I need to go and like and action is good, but this urgent sense of like, I need to take this action, it comes from, if I don't do that, I won't get it, right? So if you really want something, if it's intensely driven and frantic, not urgent, but not urgent in a good way, but frantic. Let's see, frantic actions are taken only when a person does not really believe that their wish will come true. If you don't really believe it will come true, if you're attached, if you're like, oh, I need this, and really fully believing that you already have this thing and feeling internally the emotions of that thing is where you want to be coming from. Not this like, oh, this might happen, I might be able to create this reality and I might not. Oh God, I got to go make frantic actions to make it happen. So compare these two positions. The first, I really want to achieve what I desire. For me personally, it is a matter of life and death. Whatever happens, I have to have it. I will do everything I possibly can to make sure I get it. This is the second. I have decided that I will get what I desire. I want it. What's the problem? It will be mine. Full stop. It is clear which position will be successful. So one position includes this sense of fear that doesn't believe it will happen and that it needs it to happen. The other position believes it almost has already happened. Because I have this intention for it, it's already happened. It will happen. I make intention towards it, but not attached and not coming from a place of fear. Next paragraph. Desire also differs from intention. Desire, the lower self, differs from intention in that it includes the possibility of non-fulfillment. This lower version of intention, desire, is considering the possibility of non-fulfillment, which means it's coming from a place of fear. Also considering the possibility of non-fulfillment from a place of I will be fine no matter what, so you're not thinking about the possibility of non-fulfillment, is the higher self. So it's not that you need it to happen, it's that if you are afraid it won't happen, you will loop negatively on the possibility of non-fulfillment. Instead, you want to be totally accepting of the fact that it might not happen, but you're not even thinking about it. So, in the book, if something we desire is difficult to obtain, it makes us want it even more. Desire always creates excess potential. Excess potential is the balancing force that we were talking about, where you have this fear and it creates this balancing force that draws that towards you. Desire is potential by definition. Desire is when somewhere something is absent, but thought energy is aimed at attracting that something to make it present. Intention neither believes nor desires. It simply does. So that's another example we're going to talk about. Intention is not coming from this place of belief and desire. If you have the intention to go get the newspaper, it's like, oh, I want to go get the newspaper. And then you take action, you go get the newspaper. You're not worried, what if the newspaper isn't there? Then you'll go get a different newspaper. You're not coming from this place of fear. You have this intention and then you act. It's just pure intention, not desire, not fear. So pure intention is really important. Final paragraph we're going to read here. Within the context of a lifeline is just someone's life. This is what desire looks like. I want it, but I am afraid I cannot actually have it. So I think of failure because it is important to me. And so you radiate energy at the vibrational frequency of a failure-ridden lifeline. Outer intention, which we'll talk about, let's say pure intention for now, has the opposite effect. I know that I will have what I claim. It is already decided. And then we've talked about this, I radiate energy at the frequency of a lifeline where I already have what I want. So those are the passages. We already covered the first note. We're going to move on. Yeah, feeling like you must have something. And this is the core, the crux of it. Being anxious about if it will happen is desire. You need to be coming from a place of intention without attachment, without being anxious about if it will happen or not. Which means you can't be attached to it. You can't put importance on it. You have to have this pure intention, but you can't be worrying if it will happen or not. And the key to that is accepting life if that thing doesn't happen, in part because you realize that happiness is not on the other side of that external thing. Judgment, discontent, anxiety, desire. These are emotional states that will bring these balanced forces that I was talking about against you and bring that thing towards you. Appreciation and unconditional love, on the other hand, instead of attachment, clinging, and desire, will attract the things that you want. So coming from not appreciate, but just like whatever it is, whether it's your life now, the thing you want, and you feel like you already have it, you feel those emotions within you, coming from the vibrational state of appreciation and unconditional love. Unconditional love is the most powerful place to come from. So, and yeah, this kind of connects to levels of energy. Yeah, dependent relationships. Let's take a dependent, codependent relationship. This is an example where there's a high degree of attachment. I need this person to be happy. I'm afraid I will lose them. Happiness is on the other side of this thing. When that happens, the relationship is doomed. Even if you get the relationship, it's codependent, it's completely doomed because of these principles. I mean, it's just unhealthy. You don't have to look at it through this lens. But because of these principles, now you can kind of see from this lens why a codependent relationship is completely doomed. It cannot succeed. It's just going to create all these balanced forces that destroy it. So practice accepting each situation in your life as it unfolds and not attributing certain outcomes as good and desired. So as your life is unfolding, do not react like, oh, this was good. Oh, this was bad. Oh, this was good. It's kind of like that one parable of the guy who goes to, his son gets sent to war. His son gets injured. He's like, his neighbors are like, oh, that's so horrible. He's like, it's good or bad. Who knows? It's the way it's meant to be. The war draft comes. They're like, oh, he avoided the war draft because he's injured. That's so good. And the guy's like, oh, well, it's how it's meant to be. And then I don't know what else happened. Then something bad happens. And it's just back and forth. He's like, well, I don't know. Who knows if it's good or bad? So anything that happens in your life, and to help reprogram your mental model, it can be good to think back to things that have happened to you and realize how many things that you thought were bad were actually good. And actually, if you really think about it, everything was as it's meant to be. And so as things unfold in the moment, try and bring that wisdom, try and bring that understanding to see that you are not, to make it so that you are not constantly thinking, that's good, that's bad, that's good, that's bad. And creating these like, oh yes, attachment, oh yes, oh no, aversion. So yeah, it's funny how, like I said, reality transurfing really connects to metaphysics, to the core understandings that you get from doing spirituality about how reality works, and so much connection here between the Buddhist ideas of craving and aversion, these core fundamental creators of suffering. So yeah, so your things come up, you're like, it's just the process, you're not like attached in aversion. Let go and trust in the universe. Trust in the process. Fall in love with the process. Do not constantly subject yourself to the stress of labeling things like good and bad as they unfold. This is key. And we're going through this. This is you go through these in order. This is a fundamental practice that will get you built and getting you into reality transurfing. So do this. Go out and do this. If you're taking notes, write this down. Create a list for yourself. If people want, I will actually publish my full notes, but this is meant to be listened to as a video. It'll help you remember it and make notes of, okay, this is something to do. When we realize that happiness is not on the other side of a certain thing, we can approach that thing and achieving that thing with creative, loving intention and not attachment. From a place of unconditional love and pure intention, enjoying the process. When we realize that happiness is not on the other side of that thing. So focus on the process, enjoy the moment, realizing no specific outcome is going to make your life or break your life. It's about the process. It's about who you become along the way. The hero's journey is an archetype kind of psychologically, but that's just one little perspective on it. Yeah, do not try to, if you have an obstacle in front of you, right? Do not try to overcome that obstacle. Instead, reduce the importance. If you're like, oh, but God, but how do I overcome this? Oh God. You're coming from a state of fear. You're like, I need to overcome this obstacle. Reduce the importance. Stop giving so much importance to overcoming that obstacle, thinking about how things can go right or wrong, and instead be with where you are right now, even with that obstacle. Focus your intention on what your heart wants and take the next step. That's the answer. Instead of worrying about that obstacle, money will come on its own accord. Money will be a part of getting you to where you want, or it might not. Do not focus on money. Money might come. The book says to treat money with respect, to treat it carefully, to allow it to come with open arms, and to let it part without worry. What's this say? To let it part without, they have a fun word, without regret. Let it part without regret. Do not excess importance to money, to its preservation, to rationing it, or to acquiring it. But still be responsible, of course. Yeah, so the possibility of failure. So like, let's say, okay, I want this thing. Let's say I want to travel the world. Wow, my life will only be complete if I travel. Traveling the world is what I want. I need that thing. Instead, maybe you think, well, if I don't travel the world, And because you're not just able to just be this being of unconditional love, we're going to baby step our way there. You're going to think that, well, maybe if I don't travel the world, I can actually just really travel within my mind and think about things. No matter where I am, I can constantly have new experiences through developing my mind, and life is full of new experiences. And who I become and the experiences I have aren't dependent on traveling the world. Yeah, that sounds fun, but I'm sure there's a million other deeply fulfilling things that could happen in my life, even if I don't get to travel the world. Then you're like, okay, I don't need to travel the world. And now you can go and try to travel the world from a place of more pure intention. So, you must have, at the same time, it's this paradox of certainty that I already have this thing without this need of like, I need to have this thing. So it's kind of a paradox where you have this like certainty, you have this deep belief, this deep sense that this thing is yours. At the same time, this lack of desire, this lack of attachment to it. So it's kind of a paradox, but the distinction there is that this level of certainty is coming from a place of love, not certainty from a place that I need to have this thing, right? Without importance, without demanding care and worry, you can act from pure intention. So, yeah, like I said, happiness isn't on the other side of something. We already talked about the newspaper example, focus on the process. Imagine you became aware that you are the director of your fate, the director of your life. Imagine if you became aware that you have a winning lottery ticket, that you can do anything. You're going to focus on pure intention. Imagine you're playing creative mode in Minecraft. You're like, I want this. You're not afraid. You know, if you know you know you're the creator of your reality, you're going to act from this much more pure form of intention and not from fear. So, yeah, also reality transurfing will help you take more control in a sense. Really, it's getting out of your own way of your own life. Do not become attached to, I know reality transurfing, I can get this thing now. You have to not attach importance to that. That is key. Do not burn bridges. So some people, this is an interesting one, because some people will say, if you want to go do something, you have to burn your bridges, burn the boats. Just like when the army shows up in ancient Rome or something, they burn the boats so that they have to go win the battle. Reality transurfing says no one is immune to misfortune. When you burn the boats, you actually might encourage your state of fear. You're going to be acting a lot more from a place of fear. Having a backup plan, reality transurfing says, will help you allow yourself to reduce the level of importance. The one thing I would say about this is it is true that some people are just never going to go after the things they want until they burn the boats. So for some people, and this is like, let's say, levels of energy, vibrational states, someone is in a state of apathy. What's up from apathy? Fear. Fear is higher than apathy. So if someone's in apathy, I don't even know if this is facing the right. Yeah, I think it is. Down at 50, fear is up at 100. And before they get into a place of 510, power, initiative, integrity, love, joy, creativity, beauty, unconditional love. Maybe the only thing that's going to break them out of that state of complete inaction, apathy, which is essentially like a deep depression, is getting into a state of fear. So maybe they have a moment of clarity and they need to go do something crazy where they are going to be homeless and die if they don't go take the actions they need to take. So that's one thing I'd say that reality transurfing doesn't cover. It says, okay, you need to have a backup plan. Overall, I think that's true. I don't think it's good to put yourself into this state of fear where like you burn the boat, you quit your job, now you have 3 weeks to figure out how to make money a different way. So you're going to spend every waking minute figuring that out. That can do something. That sure can be powerful. That can be a big, powerful thing, but I don't think you need to do that unless you're in like a very low state and nothing else will get you to take action. And kind of along those lines, if you feel a huge pressure, a huge sense that you need to take action as soon as possible, or if you doubt your abilities, you have too much importance. If you're worrying, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm able to. If you're thinking, I need to make this huge effort, and of course you might go take a lot of action, but effort, you need to force it, then you're attaching way too much importance to this thing. And yeah, actually that's all the notes. So that's a really good foundation for importance, intention, really just drawing this distinction over and over again between the lower self and the higher self, between intention from desire and attachment, and intention come from a more pure place of unconditional love and importance. So yeah, remember this concept of balancing forces. Everything has a balancing force. Any kind of intense fear, intense craving is going to create this balancing force that makes it so you can't have that thing. And why does that happen? I don't know. That's just in reality transurfing. In this model of reality, just understand that that's how things work. You don't need to have some explanation about why that's how things work. So I think we'll leave it there. Move on to the next video. That's it. Like I said, full video series. Like and comment. If you enjoy this, go get the book. Watch the whole thing. Peace.